back to Blerdlines. Man Cam, with me as always is
the other Cam, aka the Council of Cams in the house.
Should.
As well as
Josh, also known as Bishop. Minus
and always and always at the end, keeping us honest.
That's Professor E.
And we are here to talk about X-Men 97, Season 2, Episodes 1 through 4. So the first 3 episodes dropped all at once.
Motorcycle show. Motorcycle show. The miles.
We also got to talk about that too. But yeah, so first 3 episodes dropped and caused a whole social storm. Shout out to all the Black people making amazing memes. Then we had episode 4. So now we have 4. Now we have four issues. 4 eepisodes in. And one, it's been a lot as an X-Men fan. I know
I got to acknowledge that Freudian slip, 4 issues. I like it. I just had this point.
It worked. Yeah. But listen, that's a testament to how good the show is. It feels like you're reading a comic book.
Yeah.
And I was going to say that would be my initial reaction because I'm of two minds, right? I watch it as a fan of a lifelong fan of X-Men. I watch it which means I've been reading all the comics. I know all the lore. I know every little small detail that they put in this. I can literally tell you every single one of them. And then I watch it as a creative. I look at, how they made it. The animation is good. The studios they've been working with, the voice casting and all that kind of stuff. And so for me, on a larger scale, it 100% feels like an issue of a comic book, which is a little bit chaotic, a little bit epic and grand, kind of all over the place, but also cheesy. And it gets all the good mixes that I like. It was highly enjoyable. And what made it even more, and this is what's been tickling my fancy, is like shout out to all the Black people that are super enjoying it. And then they make the memes. The memes are so good and so funny. And they're so on point that it actually makes the show even better when you rewatch it after seeing the meme. So I think like my initial reaction of it, and as we all know, I am a well-known hater of X-Men animated series. That shit is fucking horrible. It's horrible plotting. It's messy, bad writing. The best parts about it are the intro and the voice acting. But like this 97, and shout out to Bo DeMaio, like you were saying, has definitely shown leaps and bounds of what the old one was and built on that. And I think they've done a really good job. Season 1 was awesome. And now season 2 just literally has hit people in the mouth. And I'm glad because it kind of keeps that momentum. But that was my initial takes. Go ahead. Who would like to jump in?
I'm just going to give a quick shout out. When you said the voice acting, it's cool that they use some of the original actors for different characters. And some were able to reprise like their original role, but in a future self. Like Jubilee, the old voice actor for Jubilee, reprised her role as the future Jubilee in one of the episodes last season, which is pretty cool. But they have, if they were alive, they reached out and they were in this. So it feels like a real continuation of what we watched in the 90s as far as a continuity thing. But as a testament in hindsight, the old X-Men was buns, but this one just goes to show you like, man, where was this all my life? Because again, I'm like when the Avengers came out, I was like, who the hell are the Avengers and why do I care? Until that whole 20, 30 years of this stuff happening. This is what I was like. I was always the X-Men guy, but this was me as a kid and growing up watching comics. So seeing this on the screen is awesome. Good storylines and me with a more mature sense of understanding how storytelling and pacing and how this goes. This is much more digestible as an adult, but having the same nostalgic feeling that I had as a kid. And it's just beautifully done. Shout out to Bo DeMaio for putting this from page to screen, so to speak. And I am not familiar with all of the X-Men lore. And like, I know most of the characters. I remember them from the old series and just some offline talk. But I wasn't, I wasn't too keen on like Apocalypse backstory. I knew who he was. And, I just knew what he was. He was a major antagonist in the whole X-Men show. But these last 2 episodes, man. Shout out to my African, doing the most. And shout out to Kane. This version of Kane, and I'm not too familiar with Kane, but this version of Kane just is like he's kind of moving like kind of a Loki type character, just chaos in this particular episode, just trying to just destroy. He see the inevitable, but he just moving funky, and I like his character in this, opposed to the Jonathan Majors Kang and what I saw there. So I'm getting two different Kangs. But again, I come into this not too familiar with Kang history and what he's been representing throughout the whole comic book lore. So again, this version of Kang I'm digging. I would like to see more of this Kang and how he's moving around the timeline. I will also say each season has that episode. That one episode where we're like, damn, did y'all catch that episode where it's got me talking? And I would say episode 4 is that episode. What was last season's? Remember It? Or
episode 5. Yeah.
Episode 5. Remember It. So
still can't talk about it. Still can't talk about it without getting goosebumps.
This is one of those episodes. But overall, I'm liking what they're putting out. X-Men is enjoyable again. And yes, the memes are hilarious. Everything surrounding it has been good. I don't have too many complaints, and I would like to see where this goes for
it. I've enjoyed the first 4 episodes. It feels, I've said this to Josh and Josh Reed, Cam, you guys all know, I read some X-Men, like the Whedon run, Dark Phoenix, and a few other books. I've always been a big fan of Apocalypse, which is why even before seeing the movie, I knew when they announced that Bryan Singer was doing X-Men Apocalypse, I automatically knew that it was going to be something that shouldn't come to pass. But then it ultimately did. And we were all proven right because he totally did not understand Ansabanu or Apocalypse and what he and what that character is in the X-Men world. And in 4 episodes, Bo DeMaio completely and his team completely gave us the definitive, even better than what was happening, even though they build off of the foundation from the early 90s series. There was, the consequences weren't all that real. They fought Apocalypse, defeat him, and then that was it, right? And so then they're showing like, he's not dead, and this isn't their first time encountering him. And even last season, we got the joke where Wolverine, when Jean is going into labor, and Wolverine, she's like, he's coming, and Wolverine's like, ooh, Apocalypse. So we already know that they're showing that encounter had already happened. But yeah, solid first 4 episodes. The animation is is crispy and clean, and it looks really good. The relationship between Xavier and Magneto is just so fun to watch on screen. And its ebbs and flows, and going from one moment they're like philosophically wanting to tear each other's throats out to the next moment, Magneto is like mustering all of his power to keep Apocalypse from killing or hurting Professor X, Charles. Yeah. So yeah, it was an enjoyable 4-episode watch. Great what they did with the arc of this villain by allowing him to continue to be a villain, but giving him some aspect of some relatability and a little bit of sympathy towards him being a slave and all that stuff, but then drawing that fine line and say, yeah, but now he's choosing something that's dangerous and malevolent. And so he's crossed that line from being a freedom fighter to being a tyrannical villain. So that was nicely done, nicely set up from a storytelling perspective. The last thing I'll say is just it shouldn't be this easy to show. It shouldn't be this easy to show how easy it is to do a shared universe for these comic book stories. I mean, we get scenes in this show that's so much better than 20 years of the MCU trying to do crossovers. we got the scene at the end of the cut scene where, again, it's Wolverine, Captain America, and I've enjoyed every single appearance of Captain America in the show so far, because it's always like he shows up and they're like, so? He shows up and the Eggman are like, so what? You're here? I don't care. Like, no, it's like last season when he shows up and you see, and Rogue is like, yeah, you about to help? You coming here to help? And he's like, no, I got the red tape. And she's like, well, you know what? F your shield.
Red tape this shield, stupid. Yeah.
So Wolverine had the same energy where he's like, nobody needs you. Start a strike, go ahead. And then the Black Widow shows up and she's like, chill out, calm down. And of course, Wolverine is a little bit more receptive now because, it's Black Widow. And but I bring that up to say, much like last season when we got that nice montage that went around the world and showed us, look what Spidey's doing. Look what Daredevil was doing. Oh, the villains are working with the main guy, the main villain here, and Doom exists, and all these. And you did not need a lot of setup because we even got Cloak and Dagger in there.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot that montage.
Yeah, man.
That montage said all that we needed to know. These characters exist. Here's where they are. We even got a non-speaking role from Iron Man standing in the situation room. When do we get non-speaking roles from Tony Stark? Like that's So
exactly.
I just say that to say it is inexcusable how these movies don't have this kind of level of creative thought behind them. That is probably harder to do in animation and a little more expensive, but also a little bit showing that it's not that hard because it's really about the writing and how you position the character and choose to tell the story.
And I think that's the thing. Like, it reminds me of when Titans was on, and it was parallel with Young Justice. And like, I wasn't watching Titans because I watched the first season. I was like, nah, I'm not gonna continue with this. And then Young Justice dropped Outsiders and then Phantoms, and I'm like, yo, is Titans better than Young Justice? And they're like, no. I'm like, all right, well, I'm just gonna keep watching the cartoon. I don't need the live action because in the cartoon they do world building, they do everything a lot better. And to your point, just showing that one scene of Cap, Black Widow, and Wolvie shows you that like Wolverine knows who Cap is, doesn't really respect him as much as everyone else does, but at the same time will entertains them. And that's literally how the Avengers are in the X-Men. Every time the Avengers show up at X-Men, they're like, whoa, yo, we got intergalactic shit going on. So what low level villain that you guys are doing that you guys need help with? Like, we're not trying to fight Baron Zemo. That's all.
It's
that's
always when they show up. It's all the X-Men are always like, you're here. So what?
Exactly.
The X-Men treat the Avengers like an annoyance more often than not. Like, what do you want, man? Like what? Like we're dealing with like genocide and apocalypse and celestials, and you need help with what now? Like the Red Skull?
I'll say this. The cool thing about the show and overall, because we talk about the montage, but they also be cheating. But I'm happy with it with Morph. They'll just make Morph into something. You be like, oh, Thor, but it ain't Thor. It's Morph.
Exactly.
Good,
no, it's good. No, I'm not complaining. Yeah. I'm just saying I like it. No, it worked. I'm not complaining about it.
That did trick me for a moment because I didn't see him transform. So
but I was like, because I blinked and I was like, Thor, what is Thor doing here? And I was like, it's Morph. He did that in each, like last season, he changed something. I was like, oh, snap. So, which is
they need to show him, to your point, they need to show him changing into the thing that he's going to change into instead of just, oh shit, the Hulk's here.
No, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it.
It can trick me every time.
Yeah, because we know we again, it just tells us that they exist.
That they exist.
That's all we need to know. And
I'd also like a continuity thread. That would be nice.
Well, the continuity thread is that you sometimes don't see him transform. You see him switch back. But you don't see
that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But there are times where you see him start as Morph and then go and become the mutant or Marvel superpowered character that he changes to. So there's a path. They're not just willy nilly doing it. They're just
doing it for purpose.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to touch base on what D'Angelo said about how this show implements the sense of dread on the watcher of what Apocalypse is, based off the protagonist's reactions to seeing him or being let me put this in a better way. When they go back in the past and they start like, yo, I know this ship. Hold on. We got to get out of here. And Bishop was the first to be like, we got to go.
Black people.
No, but I'm just saying.
Folk.
But overall,
yeah,
the first four episodes leading up to this gives us the impending doom that Apocalypse is, because the old show put it where that's their lifelong nemesis. But we didn't get that sense of dread.
No, he didn't kill anyone.
He didn't kill anybody. We get that now, plus the fact that there's a lifelong, they've been beefing. And we was like, hey, we're in the past. And I was like thinking, like, are they really going to try to change him? Because again, I'm not familiar with the backstory. I'm like, man, do they actually got a shot to move his trajectory? So I was locked in. I was like, how's Magneto going? Out of all the people, Magneto is the one. That's like asking Ron Artest to go to NATO and say, let's end war, and just start peace.
Deep NBA lore.
Change his name to Metal World Peace.
Metal World Peace. So I'm just saying, if you don't Ron Artest's background, Queensbridge, we come from, and you send in Magneto of all people to be like, I'm going to be the one that's going to flip the script and put Apocalypse on a different trajectory. And Charles and everybody was like, man, I don't know. Even Nightcrawler was like, bruh, like, I don't agree with this.
And I like that they did that, because what they try to do is they flipped it, right?
Yeah.
Basically, Magneto's playing the Professor X role. Professor X is playing the Magneto role, right?
Yeah.
Professor X is like, yo, we know who he is. We cannot trust him. That's usually Magneto. Magneto's like, believe who they are. And but then now we have the sense of Magneto's like, well, maybe we could change him. And then we have our representative of all Black people, Bishop, be like, are you crazy? What is wrong with y'all?
We should just leave. We should go.
It's here, get in and get out. It's not get in, discuss that we should try to change Apocalypse and then leave. Are y'all stupid?
Resident time traveler telling you we got to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, not listening to him. And I liked that the time travel is not consequential. That they're not doing it to the point where if they change something in this part, it's going to affect the other. They're
and also, honestly, that's an X-Men thing. Like, I hate time travel in X-Men. It's the worst. Like, you hate time travel in stories and fiction. X-Men takes it to a whole nother ridiculously stupid level. And the way they did it in the show is actually pretty decent, where they tamp down a lot of the dumbness. Like you said, it's literally them popping in and out of different times, not necessarily changing like whole situations. And that was what makes it a little bit more palatable while you're watching it, so you don't have to think too hard about it. Because a lot of the stuff that they're doing is destroying hell of time stuff, especially when you go in the past.
No.
But I'm glad that they tamped it down a little bit, so that just made it to be, it's there, but it's not the driving force of it. Like, if they really wanted to get real deep, like basically any X-Men story dealing with the future is always bad, essentially, for 40, 50, 60, 70 years. So when you get to that level, and like the way they did it here was a lot better, where it's just like, okay, yeah, we're in the past, we're in the future, we're seeing what's going on. Okay, let me go hop back into. So everything is still within this one long string, and you're just hopping back in between on that string.
Yeah. I didn't want the time travel stuff, but it's not so bad. It works out, and I think it just further emphasizes the kind of threat that Apocalypse is. In that there is a need to try on three different time and spaces to stop him. and I thought that was also a good classic Charles Xavier and Magneto, because we didn't see them together and try to solve a problem. We did, but it wasn't the same thing. They were fighting and then they had to get out. But this time it's very interesting how we get Magneto trying to guide Noor, and then we see the other X-Men, and Professor X is the one that's, like you said, Professor X is the one that's like, are you crazy?
Yo, to see Professor X with boundaries of like,
for real.
Like, nah, bro. Even I got my limit.
Like, no, there are some people who are not able to say, and you just found them.
Completely irredeemable.
Yo, I loved it. And I think,
yeah.
And that's a good credit to Bo DeMaio. And that's the one thing that he did a good job from this whole series, I would say, is, and we talked about this before, from someone that reads the source material. Because now you can have your story and you use the source material to enhance it, strip it down, or keep the plot moving. And they did a really good job of mixing it, because every time, like I said, I've seen all the stories. So every episode, I can call out where that story is from, what part of it, what the costume was. But by how they put it together and plotted it, it all made sense within what's going on. So if you're a X-Men fan, you're like, ooh, ooh, ooh. But if you're just a person that's just watching, you're like, yo, who is that one dude with the girl with the green hair? Why does she bend metal just like Magneto? And you start having questions and you start to wonder those things.
Brought up Polaris, and I was just talking to Josh about how awesome Polaris is. Like how she's one of those mutants that when she wants the fight to be over, it's over. Like, it's just exactly.
So they do it. They did a good job of like really mining all the information, slapping it all together. And so it's fun because you're just kind of like, as a nerd, you're like, oh, I know this part and this part. And then as just an audience member, now you're more, you're curious about who each person is and what they're doing and how they're doing, right? Like, not everyone knows that Ascani's mother Ascani is Rachel Summers, which is like his other Cyclops' other daughter from another timeline.
Well, they do now.
No, they don't. They don't. They still don't.
They don't.
No, but we just told everybody. They do now.
Well, here's not a spoiler. Havoc is
brother.
Is Cyclops' brother, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
There was an inside meta joke. What are you, like a second-rate Cyclops? Jubilee said so.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's right. She did call it a second-rate Cyclops.
I damn near passed out.
But the Jubilee character too. That's all I would say. Go ahead, Josh.
I want to touch on the characterization of Insabah Nur and how they sort of did like a really quick cover of the limited series that touches on that. Well, that is based on that basically reveals Apocalypse's origin story. Cam will tell you that book was a snoozer, and there was like a whole big thing around when that book came out. Everybody was like, "Oh shit, we about to."
Right? It was called Rise.
Yeah.
Was it called
Rise of Apocalypse? Yes.
Yeah.
And it was which was a play on what was the other one? The not the Rise of Apocalypse, but it was the
Age of Apocalypse.
Age of Apocalypse. Right. There was a play on that. And so of course, using that as Age of Apocalypse being a wildly successful series, any play on that was going to get at least eyebrows raised. And so reading it, you're just kind of like, oh my God, this is such a snoozer. Until Ramatut gets involved and they reveal that Ramatut, being Kang, he saw Apocalypse and saw that he was the first mutant and basically wanted to sort of set him up as an heir. Like, if I fail in my endeavors, he's going to be the one to sort of push my agenda forward, kind of deal. And that all goes to shit. But I think cannot praise Bo DeMaio enough, because he basically sort of melted together the Celestials and Apocalypse getting the ship and using the technology to sort of amplify his powers and become something other than just a mutant. His recurring immortality, his ability to regenerate, all popped together in one episode. It was
sort of undefined, right?
It was undefined.
Came together.
Right. It was undefined until the book. But then the book was just such a snooze fest that by the time you get to all of that shit, you kind of don't care. It was so dull and it was such a tedious affair to get to all of that stuff. Bo DeMaio does it in one episode, and it's perfect. It's perfect. Yeah. It is way better than any aspect of those four or five, however many books they took to tell that story. And it encapsulates the Celestial, his encounter with the Celestials, the technology used to amplify his powers, the him getting the ship, all of it. Boom, one shot.
And the Celestial, what's his name? The Searcher,
Isan.
Isan, yeah.
Isan.
Yeah.
And I would say the other thing too,
in Guardians of the Galaxy, actually,
he did. Yep.
Yes.
And I would say the other thing was, along with that, like, one of the other cool parts about like these last 2 episodes was the voice casting and like the guest stars. Shout out to our Michael Dorn as Apocalypse's right hand man. Like right when I heard his voice, I was like, oh yeah.
Was it right hand man? Ozymandias?
Logo.
Logos.
Yeah, Ball. Sorry.
Yeah.
It was Ball.
Yeah.
Ball was before he became big Apocalypse. And then also too, I don't know if you guys caught it, but the voice of Kang was John D. Lancey, aka Q from Star Trek.
I did not catch that.
And so,
oh wow,
yeah.
I did. Wow, familiar, but I did not know that was Q. Oh,
neither did I.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's the most mischievous.
You know what? That's the perfect homage too, because Q is very much. I don't know which
outside of time
chicken or egg. Well, yeah, that's why I say I don't know if
chicken or egg guy. Yep.
Which influenced the other, because Q is very much like Kang. And so that's good. I like that extra nerd.
I would say like and to what Josh was saying too, like one thing that about X-Men in terms of just the and what Cam actually said too is that the show did really well is to show a sense of dread and a threat. Because the one bad thing about X-Men as a fan is like no one ever dies. Someone dies, but they're gone for 10 years, 5 years, 7 years, whatever. But like in the show, you feel the sense of dread when someone gets killed or there's a threat. Now, they might all come back by the end of the show. Who cares? But as of right now, as you're watching it, you don't know any of this. You're like, oh shit, are they really going to kill Magneto? Oh, Magneto's dead? Damn. Or Cam got off too, or these types of characters. So there is a feel that each quote unquote villain is actually a villain and will go off and kill people. Apocalypse, often Magneto was a good show to be like, no, he's for real, and laughing at Charles at the same time on some like, yo, I'll be back and we're going to be doing this for a while. So I just want to let you know that I'm not for the play.
Killed his boy in front of him and then stepped over him and was like, toodles.
Yo, gave him the Iverson over Ty Lue.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is he insulted him like 3 or 4 times in that exchange.
Yes, in that
first
teacher
kills Magneto, then he tosses the helmet to right in front of Charles, right in front of Charles. Then he tells him, I would make you one of my horsemen if not for your lack of spine. And then he walks up to him, and as Charles is talking crap, puts his foot right over his head like he's going to step on him. But he's like, but you know what? Only a coward feels good about stepping on ants. It just walks over. I'm like, yeah, this is Apocalypse. This is what Bryan Singer and
everybody else. You don't even have to name them fools. Everybody else.
This is what they didn't understand about what this character is. He is a threat. He measures himself of, you must survive me to prove that you are worthy to live. Like, only you can do that. Will you continue to live?
And what's also cool is even with like recent lore, the Age of Krakoa, for all you X-Men nerds out there, but basically the X-Men be able to get their own, they get their own nation, they have their own country now, they got a whole bunch of things going on, and then Xavier invites Apocalypse to come, and everyone's like, oh shit, he might actually like try to wreck this, and he was like, nah, this is actually what I've been trying to do this whole time.
This is what I've been shooting for the whole
We have
time.
Our own country where we have manifest destiny, we can do whatever we want. This is what I was talking about. So you know what? Cool.
Welcome aboard.
Yep, 100%. And I like that the same level of gravitas, because I think that's the part that one thing about Apocalypse, which is cool. Every time he does show up, there's a certain level of gravitas that he brings in. And when he does Apocalypse is a big backstory for Cable, and I like that they showed that in this as well. Like they really brought that in. The whole they used to call it was they had it was a mini book that basically had Cyclops and Jean Grey raise Cable as a teenager, it was a whole confounding thing to get there, but it was actually a kind of a cool thing. And I like that they kind of sprinkled that in. I also like that they kept the annoyance of Jean Grey. I hate Jean Grey with a passion. She just fucks up things all the time. She was dead for like 20 years. It was amazing. Cyclops was so cool. But anyways, now she's back and now he's back to being a woman. But I like that in the show, they kept that part, right? Where Cyclops is like, maybe I shouldn't do this. She's like, nah, baby, you should totally do that. And then they get captured. It's like, so I like that they kept a lot of that together. And the other cool parts as well is like, furthering the relationships of things like Storm and Forge. Like that's a really cool relationship that's always been in the books. It gets strayed away. Like they both gone on their own different thing, but in the story and in the animation, they've really kind of kept that as something that is a lasting thing, which is actually kind of cool to see them develop that further. And like, as they start to figure out what that is and whatever their thing is, I think that was actually really cool.
We're talking about Storm's solar wind manipulation. I mean, geez, like it's any type of weather. Like the solar winds was that was pretty cool.
Ingenious.
Yeah, and I think that further shows that she's an Omega level mutant, right? And so I think like again, you're putting all these pieces in slowly to surely that there's certain people that are very, very high level. And I think that they're giving each character a place to shine to show that, because Storm really is that shit. She is like one of the Omega level of mutants. And that just kind of shows her in that part.
Magneto is, the man lifted a singularity. he found the magnetism in the singularity and lifted it and pushed. Oh man, that
yeah. And this is what I'm talking about. Like I would say, especially these past 4 episodes, it really shows the level of scale and power level of certain mutants to the point so people have a better understanding of why they're so badass. Because a lot of times they just show it, he's a badass, he's a big dude, da 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 da. But then they're giving them their showing, not telling, as our Professor D always likes to say, about like how the level of that person is. And so, like I said, Magneto freaking turning off the power of a whole world and then and tilting the pole, the whole world. And this one, the same thing, pulling in a singularity. Or same thing with Apocalypse. Like before he got all his stuff, Apocalypse was already a badass. He was straight up murking mad people, destroying everything. Like he was already
straight to the chest. He took blast from Bishop straight to the chest. The blast from Ramatut didn't kill him. Like he took a straight shot from Rogue. Like, and we know
like it wasn't nothing. And then
like it was
picked her up and tossed her across the room.
Yeah,
and I think that shows the scale. So then when he gets scaling, and then when he gets hooked up with the Celestial and all that, now you say, oh, you're even that bigger. And I think that's where now, going back to what Cam said earlier about the threat level, now it's kind of like it's almost silly when they're like, yeah, we could stop them. Like, bitch, no, go back to your time. Bishop's like, what are you all doing here?
Or chop them up and put them in boxes and put them on,
scatter them across the earth.
Like that's the only way you're stopping this food.
But you do raise a valid point, Cam, and that's something that has always been an issue in the movies. Granted, you have much more leeway in animation, but the power scaling, showing the true scope and scale of the capabilities of these characters. I mean, even in season 1, like Magneto took a train and whipped a 3-headed Master Mold Sentinel.
That was great.
I mean, come on. Like everybody else is like, this thing is there basically committing genocide, wiping out an entire country. And Magneto is standing toe to toe, grabbed the train and basically just used it as a giant whip to beat the crap out of this thing. Then, and I love that it's not their max power out the gate. Like Bo DeMeo does an incredible job of sort of stepping like, all right, they're powerful, but this is one thing they've done.
Yeah.
Then there's another thing that they do. Then there's another thing that they do.
It's always based on the gravity of the situation. So Magneto putting down the magnetosphere, he's had it enough. Like
he's done.
He just watched another genocide. It's over. If he can use his power to do anything, it's to shut down humanity once and for all.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I was going to say is they did a good job of, because like, essentially we go back to, this is something that, the MCU messes up on, is you literally have 80 years of source material to pull from, like 80 something years. You can pretty much pull anything from there and improve upon it, strip it down, get the basics down. Yeah, you can do whatever you want. And I think,
like you guys said about the power scale, I'm sorry, I just, before we move on from that has been a big problem with MCU movies, is that all of the characters that we know have much more power levels. Like, I always use Hela as the example. As powerful as Hela is, we only see her constructing necroblades of various sizes in that movie. Like, why? She's super strong. Same with Thanos, and I get it. You giving him the gauntlet, so you don't want him trying to ground him a bit. But we all know Thanos is like dark side level power in terms of like, he doesn't just need they made it seem like without the gauntlet, he's just like any other super strong alien. Like, oh, yeah, the gauntlet makes him dangerous, incredibly dangerous, but he is dangerous without the gauntlet.
Yeah, and I would say
believe, I do believe the youngsters refer to it as nerfing. Okay. You have nerfed a character. You have nerfed the character.
There's
power set.
Yeah.
And I think so, especially for like Thanos is a great example, right? In the books, that's one thing that's always fun about Thanos. Whenever he shows up, Thanos is a problem. Like, doesn't matter who, what, where, one gem, all the gems, whatever, he's always a problem, period. And, one of the recent books that came out recently is like, now they're called, the Infinity Stones are all different people. They call it the Infinity Watch. Each person has a different one. They use a bunch of random characters. You're basically the guardian of that gem or stone or whatever. So one, Thanos knows this is already happening. So then he knows that they all hang out together. So he pops up and he was just like, I used the stones the most out of anyone in creation. So I know all of your weaknesses, and literally commences to kill each one of the stone bearers and picks up each one of their things. It's pretty hilarious. He does get foiled, and he gets foiled by the time gen. It's really smart the way they did it. But I like that again, it just shows that, hey, he is a badass with or without the stones, and he always will be a badass. The stones just amplify it. And I'm taking it back to X-Men. Same shit. Like, Apocalypse has always been that dude. So they know how bad he is. And they were like, well, maybe young Apocalypse isn't that bad.
Man, you found out when Rogue got thrown through a wall. But and again, I don't think it can be emphasized enough just how great a depiction of not only his threat, not only his transformation, but even the explanation. Like, instantly it explains why his powers are undefined. Yeah. Instantly. He's been powered up by a celestial. There's nothing he can't do.
Right.
Cool, no problem. All right, I'm gonna go now. Like, it's fine. It's fine. It's literally fine. That makes total sense, that he has these transformation powers, and he's got beams, and he's got all these other things that he can do. And literally every time you see him, it's a new power. That's why. Okay, no problem. Done. Book closed.
He's basically a mutant god. At that point, 100%. And really what it is, and Aldermayo touched on it, is with what's his name? Isan, what Isan was telling him, what it is that he's reached the level of evolution to where now he can control his own evolution. And so that's why we see him having new powers, and it's unlimited, because he's controlling his own evolution, and he's using that godlike power to increase that evolutionary explosion that's happening in all the time with him. So yeah, no, it was really good to see how they set it up, and even we didn't get at all anything of what his activity, only a little bit of his activity in the 90s. So that's going to be more interesting to come in the next few episodes. And we know he specifically went to the 90s to kill the X-Men. So now they are where they weren't his current target. Now they are his target. Like, he's coming for them.
Yeah, and I would say like the other aspect of it is, and we were talking about this before, but yeah, shout out to Bo DeMaio. Like he really did a good job of overseeing like the full sense of what the arcs are going to be like and where it was going to go. Because now you have a sense that someone is dictating what's going on from the beginning all the way to the end. So when these shots come in, you know that, oh, this is the part where everyone's gonna be like, you could tell that there's intention about every episode of how they're doing it. Even when we had the X-Force episode with Cable and Archangel and Psylocke,
Oh yeah,
that was a cool episode too, because again, Jubilee is a very like interesting, I won't even say interesting, is a whatever character. And I think that like all characters, you just need someone to write the character better, right? And so at least they gave Jubilee something interesting to do. Putting her on X-Force makes sense. Having Sunspot there is actually a good balance, actually. And then you get to see a little bit more of the Val Cooper X-Force, X Factor, which is really cool. That's always been a cool design. Shout out to Larry Stroman, black man. He's the one that created Tribe Image back in the day. One of the most, I think it's the highest grossing black created comic books of all time still, I think. And so he made those designs for X Factor, which is really cool. And so, yeah, I think that overall, like as a fan of X-Men, you're watching it and you're squealing every time because you're seeing all the things. But also, it's not just nostalgia now. Now it's nostalgia plus a good story, plus good plotting, plus good character development. So it hits all the right notes of it, as opposed to just being like, X-Men animated series was pure nostalgia, where this one is actually, no, this is a good show based on a bunch of source material. And the other interesting critiques I've seen of it were a little bit of that. Like it's a little bit all over the place in terms of what the story is going on and all that. And I was laughing. And that's part of the reason why I said it was an issue, because that it felt like a comic book issue in terms of the scaling of it, the pacing, and almost the all overness of it, where I'm like, what is going, oh, I know what's going on. Okay. I see where you're going now. And I think those, the best comic books kind of give you that sense that you're along for the ride, but you're also kind of seeing a little bit of the pieces that are being laid down.
Do I need to reprise my rant about reading the goddamn source material? Because I did that already. And I'm just trying to think if
comic books, it's a lot different. It's not like you're reading a novel where it's a definitive story. It's
exactly.
You read comic books and know the arcs, but that doesn't mean that the actual arcs will follow the
100%.
And they don't have to, and they do not have to, but they need to be true to the characterizations that lay down the foundation for what we're fucking watching.
Yep. And I think you're right, because like, and like Professor D said, we'll even toss in a little bit of a Supergirl situation, right? Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, you can sit down and read that within, I don't know, 20 minutes. Maybe 25 at most. Not much. It's a graphic novel. I think 5-6 issues. You could burn through it really quick, and you'd be like, oh, okay, I get a gist of it. And then now you can go off and do your thing. The movie suffered from a lot of that, where someone got the synopsis of the book, but didn't actually read the book. And again, you not taking that 25 minutes to read that book will now begot a multi-million-dollar quote unquote flop and failure. And so it's like, it's not that hard to look at the source material. And even it'll probably, and if I was Marvel in terms of my like digital subscriptions, I would literally in my in those digital books, hey, you watched X-Men the animated series 97? Yo, here's the story that was there. Boom, here's X Factor, blah, 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 blah. Here's X-Force. Here's the Rise of Apocalypse. Here's this. And in that way, you have something that now all these fans that are like, and I'm seeing it on threads now where they're just like, yo, I don't know anything about X-Men. This shit is crazy. Where do I start? And people are being like, yo, this is where you start. Check out this one, check out that. And people are starting to embrace it. And so that's where we go back to just reading the source material, where even if you read the source material and then you come out and be like, yeah, I read it, I didn't really like it, so these are the things I would change. All right, I respect that. But just to adamantly be like, yeah, I didn't read the source material, just shows your ignorance. And then therefore the ire of the fans that actually enjoy the source material. Because if I'm doing Dune and I don't read the source material, like, what am I doing?
But Cam, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I got nothing else to say because I got to cut in a few. So,
but yeah, I would say the last thing I would comment on is the curious case of Bo DeMaio. My thing about him, which is so unfortunate, is like, yo, man, you helped create a really, really dope piece of entertainment, but your social shenanigans tainted that. And I think that's the part. It's unfortunate because I'm seeing it happening with other properties. Child of Blood and Bone, I think that's going on. The author of that is separating herself from the adaptation and all that. And she's already kind of problematic probably before the movie was going to get up, but we're starting to see more of a trend where, especially I'll say, we'll just stick it to just Black people, where it's like, look, you're creating a lot of dope stuff. Yo, stay off social media, man. Tell your team to take your phone away. Yo, touch grass, like Cam always says. Like, you don't need to be commenting. And like, you have a job in the entertainment industry. Let that be your job, and just don't go on socials, because all you're doing is tainting whatever you created. Because the X-Men 97 is really dope. All of Bo DeMaio's antics posts has been kind of ridiculous and almost like embarrassing. And it's one of those things where, like, yo, man, you could have just shut the fuck up and done your job, and you've been praised and probably got more jobs. Now you're in this weird back and forth battle with nobody, because honestly, Marvel and Disney is super cutthroat when it comes to this.
And when
they cut you off, it's a wrap. Yeah, you're done. So you're not working for us ever again. Now you might be able to parlay that into something else, but like, your work shows that you have the chops, but your attitude is showing that your antics, I should say, I shouldn't say attitude. Your antics are showing that you might not be ready for that big time, because as of right now, people are really praising your work, but now I'm not sure if you're going to be able to go somewhere else, or I hope you can, hopefully, because you're really
I really hope so.
But
I mean, the unspoken part about this is that it's the cult. It's a sad thing in our culture that a person like that can be ostracized and put shoved to the side, and then you have people who are more willing to speak up less for him and more for Disney and Marvel. And I think that's the problem that we have in society. That's a bigger issue.
Yeah, a lot bigger issue. But it's one of those things where I'm like, yo, man, you're super dope, and I really hope that you could figure out something else that you're going to be doing that don't have to do with anything with Disney or whatever, independent, and keep it moving. Because, like, again, this is showing this is one hell of a resume for someone that you've never heard of before prior to anything, and you're seeing this. Like, this is a hell of a resume. So I really hope he figures out something and figures out some type of balance so he can still keep creating, because it is sorely needed, especially for people of color, especially a Black man in the entertainment industry,
and especially in the comic book space, whether animated or written or whatever. It definitely, in a world where you have the Marvels of the world that are just like, yeah, don't read the source material. We don't want that person. Like, why the fuck not? Or with the DCs of the world, where if it's not James Gunn doing the thing, then you have, at least for this first post-Superman film, you have kind of utter chaos behind the scenes. And look at the end result. You have, poor Millie Alcock, who is good at what she does, in a movie that suffered from a lot of infighting. And you can tell that there was behind the scenes meddling and sort of a lack of clear direction. And then you have a Bo DeMaio who gets it, who's clearly read the source material and is able to take this part here and this part there and just do like this and create flowers. Easy peasy.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll leave it there, because I think we'll go on for too long. But yeah, if you haven't noticed, yeah, we like it, and it's super dope.
It's a little bit.
It's we'll chime in again. Oh, go ahead, Cam.
Who has read the source material? Bo DeMaio. That's all I'm gonna
say. For sure. So we'll chime back in when the series wraps. But we're definitely enjoying all the socials. We left, like, the Kang memes alone have been a source of joy for the last, like, at least 48 hours. For me, it's been continuously hilarious.
Yes.
And I think that I'm glad, and I'm also glad that, especially in the Black community, a lot of folks have been embracing this too, because it just shows, again, we have this real good resurgence of Black folks that are vocally and into sci-fi, anime, comic books, fantasy, all those types of things. So I like that that's happening. And so it's really, really cool that we get to see it and people are really embracing it. So that's really fresh for me to see. So, but as always, this is Blerdlines. Like, subscribe, follow, tell a friend, tell a comment, let us know. And yeah, man, we'll be out.
Peace. Go read books, please.
Read a bloody book.
Read a book.
Read X-Men. Read the source material. Stupid.